Like a Dragon Ishin is an awesome spin-off to an already great series. This game really has it all. One moment you'll be invested in this super serious drama, and then the next you'll be dancing around, shooting guns, singing karaoke. I guess the Japanese liked that stuff even back then. But at the end of the day, I had fun with this, and that's ultimately what matters. So, the game takes place in the 1860s. This is at the end of Japan's Edo period. You play as Sakamoto Ryoma. He was a real-life historical figure. And the story follows him on his revenge scheme, and he finds himself involved in the middle of a dangerous political game. Using the fake name Saito Hajime, Sakamoto infiltrates the Shinsengumi. This was a police force that was organized to help control Kyoto at the time. And while this is going on, he's really searching for the killer of his adopted father. But of course, Ryoma ends up in a much bigger plot. Impressively, he's able to find time to both seek out his revenge, and to also create great change to the country's entire political system. I wish I had that kind of time. So the first thing that I like about this game is it rewards you for playing the other Yakuza games. And it does that by bringing back those same characters from those games and then putting them in this story. It's almost as if those characters were just actors that you really liked, and then you get to see them playing in a different movie. For example, Majima returns and he's his same over-the-top character that he is in all the other games. My favorite's actually the return of Ryuji Goda. He was the main villain in the second game. And his introduction to this is just so funny and it's awesome. Kazuma, the main character, obviously returns. And he's the main character in this game, and he's Sakamoto. Kazuma is pretty much my favorite character in anything, so it's always just great having him back, especially after Yakuza 6, which was supposed to be his last story, but the looks of it, it looks like there's going to be another game. But there's a lot of other returning characters as well. Part of the fun is just seeing who's going to appear next. So as I was playing this, I couldn't help but notice that it plays near identical to the other traditional Yakuza games. I'm not including Like a Dragon, that's the only one I haven't played, and that one's more turn-based. But this one mimics the action-y games. And I always felt that Yakuza is the best in that format. And what's nice too is it brings back the kind of goofy side quests. Usually there's like something funny that happens. But what was also nice too is just changing the setting. In pretty much every Yakuza game, you just always go back to Kamurocho. And for once, it's nice just to get something different. The combat itself plays a lot like Yakuza 0. This is where you have a few different fighting styles to choose from. I remember Yakuza 6 only had like 2 for some reason. And then the other games kind of just had you switching between multiple characters. My favorite was the dancer style. At first I didn't think I was gonna like it, but it's definitely the most fun. Being able to use a gun and a katana, just as a stance, definitely made this game feel fresh compared to the others. In the other games, sometimes you could pick up a gun or a sword, but it would break instantly. Now the entire stance is just centered around those weapons. Of course, you could always use the brawler and fight like Kazuma in the other games. I think it'd be really cool though if the future Yakuza games bring the gun back, because that would actually fit in, because I'm pretty sure Yakuza use guns. And like any RPG, you upgrade and get new skills and stats. That's nothing new. But it does give you a good incentive to want to keep doing random battles, because there's a lot of them. You'll be walking around town and constantly outlaws or bandits will challenge you. The way I found myself playing mostly is I'd often start with the more fast-paced sword and gun stance. And I do this for just quick damage and crowd control. And then I'd often just switch to the more deliberate swordsman fighting style, mostly just for more damage and to single out more enemies. Occasionally I'd use the gun-only stance, mostly just to attack enemies from far away. It also has kind of the Red Dead thing where you could just target enemies and then just shoot them all at once. That was a nice touch. I gotta say the gun really did give this game sort of a western feel to it. I think that was a real nice change. Sort of like a samurai western. It's not perfect. I mean, the camera often works against you, especially in tight areas. Oftentimes you'll get hit from behind and just knocked down, and it's annoying. And there's one particular level later in the game that's especially annoying. You'll probably know when you get to it. But majority of the combat is very satisfying. I will say the story in this game is one of the more better written stories in this series. And like I say, the story really did do a good job of keeping me engaged. On the other hand, keeping track of just the many twists in the story at times is very annoying. Unfortunately, I was expecting this because every Yakuza game does this. It's okay to have one or two plot twists, but every scene, every cutscene you add a new one, it gets old. And then you start to forget like what was real and what wasn't. But there is a somewhat helpful in-game log. It kind of keeps track of what's going on. But the game also does expect you to have some knowledge of about 100 years of Japanese history. On top of that, following all of the many characters and just a complex story. It's a lot, and it's definitely overwhelming at times. And I didn't really like the ending. And without spoiling it, I'm gonna say it's strangely meta, which is kind of weird. But still, I could say that Ishin's historical setting is definitely one of the best in this series. It takes place in Kyoto, which is now Kyoto, and just an insane amount of detail brings this time period to life. You really feel like you're in that time period. And it's just nice sometimes to just walk around and just admire everything. You could even go into first person. It's just such a nice town. I'd love to visit it. It almost looks like Venice, but in Japan. But with that said, the game's never-ending supply of sub-stories and side quests often make this peaceful journey at times annoying. Just like in other games in the series, these sub-stories will automatically play when you get close enough. But it does give you the option after you see the short cutscene on whether or not you want to engage it. And luckily, you only have to sit through the introduction to the cutscene and not the entire thing. But only if you want to. I understand that these are a lot of people's favorite parts of these games. And sometimes I do really like doing them. But it can be really annoying when you're like me and you kind of just want to do the main quest first, just to see the whole story, and you're just stopped like 5 times in the middle of that. That's not to say that the sub-stories aren't good. In fact, they are. Some of them are hilarious. I also like the slice of life minigames. These are where you share a house with Haruka. You know, you're tending to the crops, learning how to cook, you're raising animals. It's all fun. I love stuff like that. And I just love my little house in this game. I wish I lived there instead of New Jersey, but, you know, nothing's perfect. The game also features a card system, and this allows you to do special moves. And you get these by recruiting new members, including some of the familiar faces to the Shinsengumi. And you get this through the open world or through the mostly boring dungeon crawling side quests. 4 can be attached to each fighting style, meaning 16 in total. 2 of my favorites are the ability to just heal large amounts of your HP, and of course, just the awesome lightning attack. Also, just combining the fighting styles with the series' heat moves. These are the cinematic finishers. And just the new special moves that you get makes it just fun. Even if recruiting new soldiers is sort of annoying, it's worth it. So, Like a Dragon Ishin is just an awesome spin-off to an already great series. And I'm glad that it finally came to the States. Even if it feels like the other games, I think it's fine. In fact, the last Yakuza game I played was Yakuza 6, and That felt like forever ago. I gotta say, playing this really makes me want to play all the other ones in the series, and I definitely need to play some of the newer ones I missed, like a Dragon. I heard great things about that. It's not as big or as grand of a game as, say, Ghosts of Tsushima, but I appreciate it for what it is. Sometimes you don't need just a massive game that goes on forever. Instead, it's nice to just have a condensed story, and, it's just a nice world to be in. You get lost in it. And of course, just seeing the returning characters to the series, it felt like my old friends are coming back. Friends you haven't seen in a long time. The bottom line is, it's a fun game. I think it's worth checking out if you're new. Maybe wait for a lower price. But if you're already a fan of the Yakuza series or just a big samurai fan, I'd say pick it up. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like my content, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think of this game. And like always, thanks for watching.